Dear students, today I would like to talk about a rhetorical analysis project to you. So, in the last couple of weeks, we talk about the different projects like the language autoethnography and then summary and synthesize. And now we are in the project three, that is rhetorical analysis. So, what is rhetorical analysis? So, in this project, you have to be think about why a text is uh, when we are analyzing why a text is important, and in terms of several rhetorical devices we have to apply for this text to evaluate that. So rhetorical analysis means critically evaluate a text to find out specific elements from this text, like some rhetorical devices like kairos, and then logos, ethos, and then pathos, and then rhetorical distance. So these are the five criteria that you have to look for when you look any rhetorical text for analysis, any piece of writing for analysis. For example, any newspaper article or any book or anything that you are analyzing, you have to think about all these five elements. So now gradually I would like to introduce one by one what are the elements actually are. So, what is rhetorical distance? So you have to think about how far the writer creates a distance to the audience, that means the reader, using his subjective point of view or objective point of view or third person or second person. You have to think about that. When a writer uses something by his personal references, for example, when I was a student, when I was a school kid, when I was a graduate student, like that, it means the writer wants to create a closer distance to the readers as he refers to his own personal experiences and orientations regarding the thing. So thus a writer creates a close distance between the reader and the writer. And if a writer writes something, for example, he or using a third person, that means it is not the writer's story, rather it is someone else's story. So writer creates a different, that means a long distance to the reader in terms of delivering something. So you have to look for that. And then what is kairos? So you have to think about what the topic the writer is talking about. Is the topic is relevant to the context that the present time is going on? For example, in the time of COVID, if a writer introduces some thing that related to COVID, like the education, online teaching, or maybe the health benefits, or maybe the student mental crisis, or maybe the economic crisis during the COVID. So you should think about what the topic the writer is dealing, and what the topic is situated in that time. So is the topic that the writer is dealing in this text is appropriate in the timing of delivering and talking about that. For example, if in 21st century I talk about how the television was invented or how the computer is invented, and then write something that's not that much effective, that it is not the appropriate time to talk about the invention of television, invention of computer. Rather, in this age, we can talk about a topic that is related to machine learning, and then speech text generations, and then maybe very, very relevant to this text is maybe the AI. So these are the topic if I talk about that, and how these topic are incorporated in this timing is important when analyzing a text. And then logos, what are the logic or evidences the writer creates to prove his thesis into whole writing. You have to evaluate that based on which information you are saying, okay, this writer is proving this or that. So the data or the evidences or the examples, that's important when you're analyzing any text. And then ethos, that means what are the a writer, it creates credibility to delivering some information to you, like If the writer has other publications, then you can search for that, how far the writer is credible to give the information to you. So ethos has two things. On is situated ethos and another in is invented ethos. So if the writer has some other background, so that is situated ethos and invented ethos, it means already within the text, the writer wants to prove something new, that is invented ethos. So are you with me? Okay, fine. And then another item we have to talk about, that is pathos. That means how far the writer creates emotion to you as a reader to deal with anything. So if a writer gives some examples that related to mostly the reader feel connected, okay, maybe it's our generation. So if the writer talk about mental health crisis, then I can relate myself as a young generation. Okay, I have faced this, or maybe my friends have faced this in a sort of scenario. So that's very helpful for making any sort of relevance and creating an emotion to the reader and the writer. So when you are analyzing some rhetorical text, you have to think about all these elements that are fitted within this text. Do not look for each of the elements for each of the text. Rather, each text is distinct. You have to think about how most rhetorical devices are fitted to this text and try to analyze that. And when you are analyzing, you don't have to feel sympathy to the writer. Rather, you are analyzing just as an reader. That means you are a scholar evaluating one's work in an objective point of view. So do not be subjective. Do not think about whether the writer that I'm dealing is male or female or which country is belongs to. Do not do about that. Rather, the piece, the text itself is important to you. So critically evaluate that in an objective point of view, not being subjective. So I hope when you do your project three, the rhetorical analysis, you should look for a text based on this criteria that I described earlier, like the ethos, pathos, and logos, and then kairos, and then rhetorical distance. So if you have any query, you can ask me, you know? Okay. Thank you very much.